Hi Flosstube! My name is Jessie and welcome to my channel, Bobo Stitching Quilt. This is a channel primarily about cross stitching with an occasional quilt here and there. And to all of my subscribers, thank you, welcome back. I'm happy to see you again. To anyone who is new, welcome as well to you. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope that we have a really good time today. So what's going on? My life update, which is not a whole lot. I live in Texas, for those of you who are new. I live outside of Houston, and so we have some surging currently happening for COVID cases for us. So well, although my husband and I had stayed pretty isolated, you know, we're going to continue to remain in quarantine, so to speak. But we did go on a family vacation, so to speak. Same people, different views. So we drove down to Galveston. We rented a beach house there, and it was, although there was a public side pretty close to where the house is, we were on the private side of the beaches, so it was pretty isolated. There wasn't that many people, and for the people who were on the beaches, we were able to stay more than 6 feet away from each other. I would say that it was more like 50 feet. You know, there was quite a bit of space between all of us, so we were able to stay pretty safe, and we brought our food with us, and we cooked our own meals and everything, so we weren't really particularly worried about exposures or anything like that. And it was really nice. Obviously, with this year, all of our vacation plans were canceled. We had other plans that we were going to do, and we can't do that now, and so that was kind of nice to be able to kind of do that. But we knew we wanted to take vacations, because even though you're working from home and maybe the stress of commuting is not there, and it's still, you know, I am fully going to acknowledge my husband and I are very, very lucky in that we have that we are able to work from home, and but there's still stress from working from home. I work in legal aid, and so there's a lot of activity, basically, to say, as a result of the economic impact of COVID, and so we're taking care of a lot of people out there who are hurting, and I'm extraordinarily mindful of everyone who is out there, who is struggling in any way, and that can be in multitudes of different ways. So I hope everyone is doing okay, and staying safe and taking care of themselves, which is why we went ahead and took a vacation, because we felt that we did need to disconnect a little bit and recenter, be able to kind of have some carefree days, so that way we can kind of recenter ourselves to be able to go and in my case, go and help people. In his case too, he does. His work is just slightly different from mine, and so if you are able to take time off to take care of yourself, well, you should, and because I think a lot of people are not taking vacations. Like, I think I read something like that, like, because people are working from home and they're not taking vacations, and it's like, if you know, do what you have to do to take care of yourself, so that way you can stay strong and healthy and be there emotionally and supportively for those people who are going to need you down the line. And so, anyways, that's my soapbox for today when it comes to vacations. But it was a great vacation. We were in Galveston. It was beautiful. We were lucky. We had great weather, and so I can't really complain at all about what we were able to do. And I got a lot of stitching done. I only brought 3 projects with me, so I worked on those pretty, obviously, exclusively for the past week, and and I was already kind of focused on one before we even left, and so since our last video. And let's see, is there any other life updates? I don't think there is. I learned that officially the Quilt Festival here in Houston, that normally happens at the end of October, beginning of November, is officially canceled. One of the best things about living in Houston is that every year the largest domestic quilt festival happens here in Houston, and has a quilter and even has a cross stitcher, because there are cross stitching vendors there as well. It's one of the best things, like, right, it's right in your back door or backyard, and I can go, and it's amazing to see what people are able to make and all the projects that are available, and you just kind of go crazy. I save money for it, and so that I can, I budget to be able to spend the money that I spend at this event. But it unfortunately, as it should be, I probably will concur that it does need to be canceled, but it is disappointing. I think of all those vendors and and even the quilters who had submitted quilts that would have been exhibited, and and that people aren't going to be able to see it. And while I think they will probably do something virtual, QuiltCon, that's the Modern Quilt Guild's quilt show, they've already pivoted, and they're going to be doing their quilt show as a virtual one next February. But so I do think that there'll probably be something that's going to be virtual. But I've been doing a lot of virtual work, obviously, working from home. I do a lot of things virtually right now, and it's just not the same. It really, quilts, although you can't touch the quilts on the exhibit, although you want to. There's something about being able to seeing the texture. It's different, right? It's like photos and videos well, you know this, right? If you watch Flosstube videos, like how much when people are showing their progress or their hauls, and sometimes you're like, oh, that's an interesting color, and then of course they tell you, I don't know why it's showing up as kind of a gray. It really isn't gray. It's really more blue. So sometimes you don't get the impact of what you're really looking at. So it is disappointing, and I have been putting aside money because this was the year that we were going to buy a new machine, and I was going to buy new furniture for my quilt room, my craft room, and now I'm not going to be able to do that. We're going to have to do that all virtually again, and I'm a little nervous about it. So that's kind of the quilt update. So anyway, so that's a little disappointing. I also had I'm in touch with many of my college friends, and one of my best friends, in fact, she officiated my wedding. Her mom. So hi Beth's mom. We had a video chat this weekend where I got to talk with them about her quilting and her knitting and her cross stitching. She showed me a crewel piece that she did 40 years ago, and it was beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. I don't do crewel, and so it was like oh, that's amazing. And so we had a great conversation, about 2 hours, talking about quilting and cross stitching, and some genealogy thrown in there because I also do genealogy, and that was a lot of fun. And I always found that cross stitching for me was very isolating. Not isolating. That's not the right. I don't know many cross stitchers in my real life. I know one other person who is another friend of mine from college, and she cross stitches, but otherwise I didn't know anybody who I never met them, and until and for my entire childhood, and early adulthood, like the only places I could find cross stitching supplies was like a Michael's and a Joann's and things like that. There was one LNS in the Houston area that I knew of that I could find in the Houston area. I guess this predates the super internet. I mean, the internet was around, but it wasn't like maybe at this level of being able to find things as easily. And so I didn't really know anybody. But cross stitching, I guess, is not really, historically, it's not. Is it? I don't know. Like, you think of quilting bees, but and I guess there's been embroidery circles, but I don't know, like, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't know people. But that's why I love Flosstube. I love, like, being able to, like, even though I don't know any of you, I don't know any of the people who, in real life, like, I've never met them, that I watch, and I just feel like, oh, you're like my video friends. Like, you know, I connect with you. There are some people who I think are really kind of similar in personality to me, and I didn't write these down on some of my favorites, but I will definitely add a few links in below some of the people who I feel like, oh, if I met you in real life, I think we'd be really great friends. I think we have lots of things in common, and you know, we like similar types of cross stitching and things like that. So I think that's probably why I've been drawn to doing the floss tube a little bit, because I feel drawn to having a community and a craft that I've loved for many years, but not having anyone I could really chat with about. So anyways, on that note, let's get to some projects. So, again, on vacation, but I focused on 3 things in these past 2 weeks. I did not do any of my plans. I've kind of decided I'm not good at plans. I'm still going to talk about plans at the end, and we'll see how I stick to them. But I've kind of discovered that I make plans, and sometimes I do them, sometimes I don't. I guess that's just how the world works. I don't know. I know some people who are really good planners and just stick to their plans. But anyways, this is kind of where I am. So first up, and is I am doing the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Stitch Along for Chinese Zodiac. So I am going to insert here what it will look like when it is done, and what my progress has the last time. And so I'm going to say that it is a stitch along, so they just this past Wednesday released part 4. I am behind, and so I'm just showing you what has been released so far and what it will look like so far if I was on top, you know, and then where I was in my last progress. So I'm going to do that right here. Okay, so that's where I am, and that's where I was, and this is where I am right now. So this is it was kitted up by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, so I bought the kit from them. So this is on Picture Disc Plus casual 28 count linen. Sant is the fabric, and it is on the it's all called for DMC. So where the difference is that I got a ton done. So what's obvious that you can see is that I filled in all of the little flowers that were in part 2. So I've kind of filled in all of those, and I finished the 4 animals. So last time I had the mouse and the oxen, or the rat and the oxen completed. I finished the tiger, rabbit, dragon. I am the year of the dragon, actually born in the tail of it. Fun fact about me, my mom, I'm half Asian. My mom is Thai Chinese, and she knew she had to have a C-section with me, and so they intentionally picked a day to ensure that I was born in the year of the dragon, because I was at the what is known as the tail of the dragon. It was really close to Chinese New Year's, and so so my mom made sure I was born in the year of the dragon. So I am a dragon. So that's so there's my little dragon, and I finished the snake. Now, what is less obvious, as y'all may realize or may not remember, I have always just stitched on Aida, and so one of my resolutions for myself this year when it comes to trying new things in cross stitching was I wanted to try different fabrics this year. And so this is the first time that I'm stitching on any type of linen. It was the first time I did this, and so I made a lot of mistakes when I first started, and I kind of have a mentality which is that, you know, mistakes happen. You know, I've done a lot of full coverage pieces, and if I miss a stitch or something like that, I mean, I just kind of just cover it up. I don't even bother frogging it, and because sometimes you can get away, or I kind of look at it as a whole, and I think, is it that big of a deal? And I don't, you know, but Aida, you don't miss stitches the way I think you do in linen. And so I had to kind of get used to doing the linen. And so this is 2 over 2. And so being able to count and knowing to skip the stitch and and everything like that was a little difficult for me, being completely honest. And I think it would be for anybody working on linen for the first time, because you're just not used to your eye looking at that, especially if you're going from Aida, where the fabric is so structured and you know where to stitch and everything. And so anyway, so what becomes a little less obvious is that I made a lot of mistakes. And so when I worked on the medallion in part 1, I started in the center and went down, and then I went back up. And when part 4 was released, and I should have known this based on part 2, is that there's some flowers that are stitched into the medallion. And if you saw from my last update, where I was before, I had already started to frog just a little bit, things that were obvious to me, that there were some missed stitches and miscounting and things like that. And so, but when I saw part 4, and again, so many different flowers kind of stitched into, I don't know what to call these, little hoops part of it, I realized that I really needed to go in and fix it. So thankfully, the good news is that the majority of my medallion is fine. Once I got used to doing that, I was able to do that. I made more mistakes in the little loopy parts than anywhere else. So what you don't see in terms of progress is that I frogged all of the loops in the bottom, and then if I had to miss anything on that. So basically, I frogged my outside part of it, and then I've corrected it. So it's I think it looks a lot better. I think it's obvious that it's even now, as opposed to before, where I think if you looked at it, even without looking at it closely, you could see it was uneven. So my lessons from linen is that use a Q-snap. It makes life easier. You're able to get the tension in the fabric that you need to be able to count easily. At least for me, that seemed to be the main factor that helped my ability to count. So anyways, I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's really cute. We watched Robin Hood while I was on vacation, Disney's Robin Hood, and so I named him Sir Hiss, after the snake in Robin Hood, and which made me realize I hadn't named anybody else. So I gotta come up with some names for everyone in my Chinese zodiac, and so there you go. That's where we are on that one. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so the next thing I worked on, which was my focus piece for the past 2 weeks, is Emily's House by Lindy Stitches. And I am going to once again put in a picture of what it will look like when it's done, and where I was as of the last time I stitched this, and I'll put that in right now. Okay, so that's where I was, and again, this was my focus piece. That's what I stitched on the majority of the time 2 weeks ago. So my vacation, I kind of rotated between my 3 pieces, and but Emily's House is what I worked on primarily 2 weeks ago. And so here, I'm on the big Q-snap on this one now, is where I am. I feel like it doesn't look like it's a lot. You know, I guess that's the thing about sometimes when you're working on these projects. But I finished all of this part of the roof, and then, of the second floor. And so I've moved over here. I have just a little bit of that gold right there in that last row. And then I've started, working on that part of the second floor of the house. So it doesn't look like it's a ton, but I felt like I worked on it a lot. And so I am doing this it's on, I think, 36 count. It is pictured as plus earthen, and yeah, it's on 36 count. It's with the called for DMC and the Gentle Arts thread, so I haven't done any kind of conversions or anything along that lines. And I am doing this 1/2 is what I'm doing with this. I love this. This is actually a lot of fun to stitch. Between the casual, the 28 count, and this at the 36 count. I'm preferring the 36 count. That makes sense to me because my preferred Ada is 16, 18, depending on the design. So I'm doing Cinderella in an 18 right now, and I prefer it. I think like there's some coverage and there's some oof to it. That's me personally, right? My personal preference. So I think that it makes sense to me that I would like the 36 because I think it looks really good. And so after all the lessons from the Chinese Zodiac, I haven't had any real, it's not gonna wood, problems working on Emily's house, but I really want, I love working on this. I want to work on it all the time, like I really do. The only reason why I was focused on these other things is because I'm trying to get some, I really wanted to get caught up on Chinese Zodiac. I was like, come on, it's a stitch along, and not, I don't know why, put pressure on yourself, you can do whatever you want, it's a stitch along, but it's, but I really wanted to catch up on that, and so, but loving me my Emily's house. So I'm probably going to put this back into the smaller Q snap because I'm going to bring in Cinderella back on my into my plans. So anyways, so that's it on Emily's house. I'm looking forward to doing, I'm starting to get the little tail of the cats right there. So I'm starting, I was like, maybe I should get to a part that's not the house because it does get a little boring, but it's really, it's not really boring because I really enjoy stitching it, but it makes for good TV stitching. So, and it's so dynamic. I love it. All right. So that is it. Ooh, making a mess here. So those are my 2 WIPs from before to give you an update. I did not work on my other 2 WIPs, which is Cinderella Wishes on a Dream. That's a big project, and so I didn't work on that, even though that is, I do have some plans for that, and I did not work on no face knitting. So those are all of my WIPs in rotation that I'm working on right now. It's not all of my WIPs. I do have other WIPs, but they're not part of my rotation. So I do have a new start. It's also, excuse me for my reach while I go pull the thing up. It's gonna let me have some details. So it's a new start as well as I guess haul because I bought everything. So my LNS is still closed. They never reopened, even when Texas did its initial reopening for the retail shops. They decided to stay shut down, and they continue to do online orders. And so I asked them to kit it up for me, and they did. And so I am now working on Barbara Anna's design for Christmas is Coming. And so I am going to go ahead and put in right here what it's going to look like when it's done. So that's where we are. So that's what it will look like when it's done. So obviously this is my Jolly July piece that I am working on, and this is where I am. He is so cute. I just love it. This is a design pattern from 2018, so it's been out for a couple of years. I just love it so much. I feel like it's an appropriate Jolly July project because it's Santa on a snail just chugging along, moving towards Christmas. And snails, of course, we think of as being slow. And so it's kind of like, oh, Christmas is slowly coming. It's going to be here. Of course, we know how time goes with that. You know, it's like all of a sudden it's July. Next thing you know, it's Halloween and Christmas is next. And so don't worry for my Thanksgiving fans. I'm not saying that we don't care about Thanksgiving. We celebrate Thanksgiving. But, you know, it's like the time jumps that kind of basically happens. So I kind of love that. But that being said, though, I am a child of the 80s, and one of my favorite movies when I was a kid was The Never-Ending Story. So when I see snails and people riding snails, I don't necessarily think that they're slow. I always think of the racing snail from Never-Ending Story. So I think that he's racing towards Christmas, not necessarily he's slowly moving towards Christmas. Anyways, so I am doing this on Zweigart Belfast, which is 32 count, and the color is dirty. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it's, I don't know if it's dirty, but that's what it says. It's dirty, which I think is the called for fabric and what the model uses, because my Ellen has kitted it up for me. And but I love it. All the called for flosses, which is all DMC, and so here they are, and which I think are, you see all of my hanging threads, one of my little pieces that I keep. I mean, really quite, I don't keep them super combed out. So, but yeah, so these are all of the called for DMCs, which I think are really great earthy tone color kind of colors. So the so that's where I am on it. I expect I'm gonna finish this. It's moving. There's a lot of it's not the fastest stitching in the world, but it's not slow either, right? So I'm getting, the thing that takes forever, like weirdly, is the little stars. I feel like the stars take forever, mostly because I'm trying to do a clean stitch on the back. I'm trying to keep them as clean as possible and not do as much traveling, so that's a lot of starting and stopping for those little stars. That's the only thing that seems to be taking a long time. Otherwise, once I get going, it seems to be moving pretty quickly. So a new start, also a haul, because I finally did get it from my shop. It did ship. I got it like a couple of days after the last video, so as was expected. And so I'm working on that, and hopefully I'll have a finish in the next video. That's exciting. So that's it on my WIP progress. I don't have anything else that I'm working on. So a tiny small piece of haul that I have. I like shopping online. Like I do like it for most things. I even like it for my clothes, because I'm very boring in my clothes. I keep a capsule wardrobe, and I have like a way of shopping that makes it easier, that I only need a handful of pieces at any given time. And so I love online shopping for most things, but when it comes to crafting, quilting, cross stitching, I do miss wandering. I miss wandering the store. I miss being able to look at what's in stock and getting inspired by things. So I'm hoping to be able to do that soon. It's not the same online. I mean, I click on a lot of different patterns and things like that, and I get inspired by Flosstube, but maybe it's the people that I watch, but maybe because they all overlap to a certain extent, I don't, like, I keep trying to find fun things, different things. And although I'm going to say one of the videos I did watch this week was Stitching with Reese, and I'll put her in the links below. I really love watching her videos. She's an Australian cross stitcher, and she's a lot of fun. But this most recent video, it was the best haul ever, and she had segments. Like, she goes, "I will call this my segment," which I think is hilarious, because you could just see, she's like, "I have segments now," and but all of these amazing pieces that she got, and I think it's the types of things, and I think that it was, like, I think it was shopping. I think it's just one of those things that you see when you are able to just kind of be looking at something. So let's get this COVID under control so that I could go shopping. That's basically what I'm saying. Anyway, so my very tiny haul is, I did order this in June in hopes that it would come in so that I could be working on it. It has part of Patriotic July, but that did not happen. So, but I did get, I did went ahead and bought Liberty Quaker from Luminous Fiber Arts, aka Nuts About America. I was watching her Flosstube. I am not gonna pretend to be any different. I think squirrels are the cutest things. I think they're just fun little animals. We have squirrels in our backyard. We call them friends. We don't let the dogs hunt them down. They're allowed to play with them, but they can't hunt them. And if she had not called us Nuts About America, I might have been able to pass it up on it, because I don't do, I didn't mean to sound like I'm like, I don't do patriotic. No, I don't mean You know, but I mean, like, but I don't tend to make patriotic pieces, is basically what I'm going to say. I lean towards Halloween, I lean towards holidays, and more fantasy kind of things, because I'm a nerd, I like the nerdy things. But there was, but I just thought this was super cute, little squirrel with his nuts. So I'm probably not going to start this in July at this point in time. I'm thinking that it might be, in terms of future planning, like long-term planning, like I might start this on Veterans Day or Veterans Day weekend. I think it's the next, I mean, I guess, it's what I'm thinking of. My husband is a Marine, or was a Marine. Once Marine, always Marine. I think that's how it is. And so we do celebrate Veterans Day, and so I am thinking this might be my Veterans Day start, or I might hold on to it for Stitch Mania next year or something. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, so my one little pattern that I got for it, I did ask my LNS to kit me up the flosses, which they did. I have not had a chance to put these on any drops or anything like that, but it's a smorgasbord of different types of flosses. So these are the DMCs. It's hard when you don't have them on drops to be able to be like, here they are. So here are the DMCs, and there's also some Gentle Arts, Weeks dye work, and some classic color works. You know, fancy threads as well. So here those are. So I think that's going to probably be the squirrel, and those are the flags. Colors there. So it looks like it's going to be fun colors. So I'm looking forward to that. And last but not least, I do have a fabric purchase, which is, ooh, I think you're going to have a hard time kind of seeing this color. So this is, the color is Mountain Baker Blue, 32 count. Oh, I don't know what the fabric type is. It's a linen. But it's, so yeah, let's see if we can get a little closer to see if we can see that blue a little bit. I try to record this at a certain time of the day so that the sunlight gets me some pretty accurate coloring. This is pretty accurate. I would say this is pretty accurate. It's kind of a very light blue kind of color. And so obviously this is for Nuts About America, but you know, as you do, sometimes you might end up making something else with it. But that's it. That's it on my haul. Not a lot going on. I guess that's it. I don't have any quilting updates because we were on vacation, and you can't, you know, I shouldn't say that. I know quilters who pack up their machines and their projects, and you know, and obviously I've gone on retreats where I've taken all my stuff, but I'm not for a family vacation. I don't think I wasn't quite in a space to be able to do that. So no quilting updates to share for this video. So plans. What's next? I'm like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm supposed to talk about something else. Plans. 2 more weeks left in July, and I started WIP Go a little late, which is the WIP Bingo, which is a Facebook group by Jessie Does Stuff. I'll put a link below as well. I started like mid-year, so I just basically blocked out all of the WIPs, all the things that had already been called, because I can't go back and do them, and it just seems silly to go back and do them at this point in time. And I just filled in all the remaining blocks with various WIPs of things that I'm working on. So, you know, I cheat a little bit because I knew where I was going and what I wanted to do. But it's, so my 2 WIPs that I'm working on for that this month are Emily's House and Cinderella Wishes Upon a Dream, which of course was part of my plans, because I do want to finish the page for Cinderella. That is still the goal for July, and I want to get that done. and with the hope that maybe I can have a goal to finish 2 pages this year, and that will make it 50% done, and then maybe I can get the other 2 pages done next year, and it'll be done in 2 years, which will be fantastic. Pretty fast for full coverage of that size. And so that's going to be the plans. I'm going to continue on Santa or Christmas is Coming. I'd like to get that. I think I'm going to be able to finish that. So I think I'm going to try to have that finished in the next 2 weeks. And if I finish that, and it's obviously still going to be in July, I think that I'm going to start another Jolly July piece. Probably on the 25th, I'll probably start another piece if that's not finished. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to work on that. And then, of course, Chinese Zodiac. I'm going to try to get caught up on part 4. But I'm only going to work on that one more weekend, I think. This actually might be the only weekend I'll work on it, thinking about the rest of my plans. So not a whole lot of, plans. I'm planning on doing some shopping on July 25th for some sales, to see if I can get some stuff. But then, of course, you're not going to see any of that fabric for months. Seems like. I think that's it. Not very exciting this time around. Actually, I'm really excited about my projects. I feel like I got a lot done. I feel like you can't really expect much more than that. I was able to, while I was on my vacation, I didn't just stitch all day. Like it was something I tended to do in the evenings and everything. So I probably stitched about maybe 1 to 2 hours more a day than I normally do when I'm home. So I didn't get, so I'm pretty excited about the progress I made, considering that I wasn't able to do as much as I probably would have liked. But that being said, I just went swimming and took naps, all the good stuff that you do on a vacation. So anyways, so that is it. I am going to, as a special request from Beth's mom, that she wanted more quilting in my videos, which is fair. And so I'm going to try to accommodate that. And so I am going to either has a Flosstube extra or QuiltTube extra, or maybe in my next video I'm going to do, as a preview, I'm going to do a top parade. I'm going to show you all my tops that are done that need to be quilted. I do gift most of my finished quilts, so I don't have that many. I don't have any. I have one quilt that's mine, that I made, that I kept for myself. So, but I'll show all that in another video to do kind of a little top parade, and hopefully you'll find that interesting. Also, I'll either do it as part of my next video, as part of my QuiltTube, or I'll do a QuiltTube extra. So we'll see. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. If you enjoyed this video, I'm still kind of getting used to this. I don't have a blooper reel or anything like that yet. But I started this thing 4 times today because I couldn't quite figure out how I wanted to get going. I'm still a little nervous when I do these. If you enjoyed this, I hope that you'll subscribe and come back and hit a thumbs up on the video, because that does help other people see it. I'm always open to suggestions if people have things on feedback on what I can do to make this more entertaining for you. Or I know how I watch floss tubes when I'm stitching, and for me it feels like I'm in my cross stitch circle. People are just talking about what they're working on, problems that they're having with it, and what they're loving about it. The way you do when you're in a quilt bee, right? Like you're just kind of chit-chatting about your days and your weeks and life, and what are you working on, and things like that. So I kind of try to do them in that way. So hopefully that's how it comes across. And so with that, I'm going to say thank you so much. I hope that you are having a really great stitching day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.